shotgun snap. And it is Mason Rudolph down the middle and on his way. That is Deontay Johnson. 30, 25, 15, 10. He's gone for that Steelers touchdown. 71 yards. Rudolph to Johnson.
You got Deontay, goes on that in-breaking route, and Mason hits him in stride, and there is nothing but high tides and green grass forever.
Throwing a lot of outbreakers, and there's safer throws, but sometimes if the coverage dictates it, those in-breaking routes can really get you big yards after the catch.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. And Missi Matthews joined by Bob Pompeani. The Steelers winning in Baltimore Week 18, then getting some help from the Tennessee Titans. So now we're talking about the playoffs, but let's go back through the last 3 weeks and just the things we've seen like that from Mason Rudolph and the offense, and something that hopefully they'll carry on into the postseason.
Yeah, it's just been efficiency, quite frankly, Missy. No turnovers, big plays, and I think the big plays have allowed the run game to have more of a breather in terms of box defenses by the other team, because you have to respect that deep throw, and he's put it out there right on the money at times. We saw that Deontay Johnson touchdown in Baltimore, but the ones in Cincinnati game were even more impressive, right on stride, and so a defense has to account for that. But I think that's where it starts. One helps the other, and next thing you know, the Steelers are running the ball successfully and throwing it when need be, and that's been the key to this whole 3-game win streak, which has now put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, crazy to think heading into that game, kind of, I think, the mood around Pittsburgh and what this team might be able to accomplish. I don't think anybody foresaw this being a possibility, but, they ran the ball well, even when in Seattle, but then you go to Baltimore, it's rainy, it's nasty. They still were able to do that, and that's something they're going to probably have to do in Buffalo, whether it's snow, sleet, or whatever Mother Nature decides to dump at Highmark.
But the running game travels well in all conditions, and when you're running it like this, aside from the fact that it gets slippery, you got to really make sure the ball security element is big for your running backs. But that's how you win games in sloppy conditions, and I think the Steelers showed you that to a large degree last week, albeit Baltimore wasn't playing some of their key players on defense, but nonetheless, they had to win the game, couldn't make mistakes, and they did. And so I think that's something that bodes well for them going into this game, as Mason Rudolph continues to be the, quote, hot hand, and Mike Tomlin continues to ride it.
Right, in terms of the Steelers defense, we know that TJ Watt, who was injured against the Ravens, he will not be playing against the Bills. But the good news is DeMonte KZ back from suspension. The Steelers defense will get him, and also Minka Fitzpatrick seems very optimistic, according to Coach Tomlin, that he'll be available as well. He's been dealing with that knee injury. He did practice last week, I think, listed as questionable. Some people thought maybe he'd play in Baltimore, but they didn't play him, and now it's good that he'll be as fully 100% as he can be heading into Buffalo.
And in those absences, you've seen guys like Eric Rowe step up. They had to move Pat Peterson into safety. Now he may come back to corner. So it helps all those positions. Buffalo's a big assignment, too, when you think about it. They got some weapons with Stephon Diggs. They got 2 really good tight ends. They utilize their backs in the pass game, but mostly it's Josh Allen. And whether it's by his arm or his legs, he comes up with plays time and time again. And without TJ Watt, the Steelers are going to have to be mindful of that to make sure that they don't let him get outside and on the run, because he won't stop. He's not going to slide. He's going to come after you as a very physical guy. But, plays like that with Eric Rowe are going to be big. Make sure you can come up with a turnover that changes the complexion of the game. And the other thing is the big plays in special teams. You alluded to that in a show we did previously, how big they can be in games like this. Buffalo, man, their whole momentum changed last week in Miami because of the play by Deontay Hardy.
Yeah, and Miles Killebrew, one of those guys, there's a reason why he was voted to his first Pro Bowl for the 2023 season. But I think, too, with Josh Allen, he is mistake prone. He does sometimes turn the ball over. We saw the 2 interceptions against Miami. He is able to work through it, short memory, move on to the next. But for the Steelers defense, if you can do that, get a short field for your offense and capitalize, that's one way to, try to take advantage in this game and get out to an early jump.
And the other thing, this is important to keep him off the field as much as possible. In the last couple of games, the Steelers defense has not been on the field all that much. I think less than 50 times in that Seattle game. And so when you have, plug and play guys and you're mixing people up just because of the injury, if you can keep them off the field, by using their offense to win the time of possession game, that's another big part of this. And the Steelers have done that in this 3-game win streak.
Yeah, winning the line of scrimmage, always a key to success and something that Coach Tomlin has been preaching, especially during this 3-game winning streak. But the Bills also coming in on a winning streak of their own. I think a lot of people counted them out midway through the season, and they proved and won their division.
Yeah, they were 6-6, and people had doubts about them. But, you know, this is a team that has a lot of expectation, which is one of those things I look at this game too. And the Steelers are being somewhat disrespected in that the line is pretty big. But Buffalo has had a lot of playoff failures and big games that they need to overcome. And they haven't done that yet. So I think the pressure on them, if this game is a competitive game in the fourth quarter, I think the Steelers are in a good position at that point. That's what you need to try to get to.
Another hostile environment. Yep. And let's take a look at the playoff picture for the AFC. What's happening on Saturday? The Browns head to Houston. Dolphins head to Kansas City. That game's actually going to be colder than Buffalo. So glad that we're heading to Buffalo. And then the Steelers 1 o'clock on Sunday. If they win, heading back to Baltimore, which it just seems crazy, but also not surprising when you look at what the season has been like for the Steelers.
And I remember talking last week about a Baltimore team that would not want to see a team, and maybe Pittsburgh, just because of the way it's gone. I think the Steelers have won now 4 in a row down there. These teams know each other. Could very well be that. But first things first, it starts with Buffalo. That is a daunting assignment. There are 2 tight ends. Kincaid and Knox are both very good. Kincaid's come right out of being a rookie and has made plays in the middle of the field. That's been a weakness of the Steelers at times. I would imagine they're going to try to exploit that in this game as well.
No doubt. I think we saw that especially during their losing streak. You go back to the Cardinals game, the New England game, and it's something that we even saw in Seattle a little bit. It's a, bend, don't break, but try not to, let that happen.
Yeah, Trey McBride's, coming out party came against the Steelers in that Arizona game. They utilized the tight ends. In the New England game, did the Patriots. So they have to, but you can't lose sight of the fact that if you lose contain against Josh Allen, it opens up a whole new part of the game that not many quarterbacks, and even though the Steelers have faced Lamar Jackson, it's a little bit different with this guy. So I think that's first and foremost. Keep him contained, and if you're going to have him beat you, all right, throw the ball. He does throw into coverage. You can come up with a big play in that. So that would be the starting key for me.
All right. Sounds good. A very exciting playoff week, wild card weekend here in Pittsburgh. Thanks so much for joining us for the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface and Missi Matthews. He's Bob Pompeani. Have a great day, everybody.